Seguidamente temos o Philippe Steeger, que representa o Presidente do European Managers, que será apresentado pelo Fernando Fonseca, Presidente do CEC.
É um prazer para nós termos aqui um representante da Federação Europeia de Quadros. Portanto, nós que é a primeira vez que estou por cá e temos muito gosto disso, porque isto também é um programa europeu. E esta é uma confederação com sede em Paris, conta com mais de 1 milhão de membros, através de sindicatos de quadros de 16 países da Europa. É um dos 6 parceiros sociais da União Europeia. Há 3 confederações patronais e 3 confederações de trabalhadores. A CEC é, portanto, um influente grupo de opinião e lobby junto da União Europeia. Aqui o Dr. Paulo Marques, Presidente da USI, foi recentemente cooptado para o órgão executivo da CEC, o que também nos dá um orgulho. E apresento então, para finalizar, o Philippe Steeger, que é diretor da CEC.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm very pleased and honored to be able to assist this important and inspiring Congress on behalf of CEC President Ludger Rama, who is unfortunate to be unable to attend the Congress himself. The Confédération Européenne des Cadres, CEC European Managers, and his president in particular, there it is, are ambitious about the prospect of a renewed partnership with SMQTV and an increased dialogue with Portuguese stakeholders in general that can prove fruitful when exchanging new ideas and a pool of rich experiences. More than ever, we need an active dialogue at European level that is able to put into perspective the different positions that exist in Europe to formulate a common vision. At CEC European Managers, we encourage this dialogue both among our member organizations and at European level through the representation of managers in the European Social Dialogue. CEC is one of the 6 cross-industry social partners recognized by the European Commission. As such, managers have a particular position as bridge builders between employers and employees while being employees ourselves. This particular role of mediators and facilitators of dialogue also drove the French, German and Italian confederations of managers to found the CEC predecessor CIC in 1951, which became the CEC officially, well, the name change, in 1989. Today, the CEC represents 1 million managers in Europe through its 16 member organizations of 14 countries with diverse profiles and orientations. On sectoral level, we have 9 European professional federations that represent managers in the sectoral social dialogue. The central challenge for us today is to formulate a visionary approach to leadership that enables to find answers to our social, economic and environmental problems. Warren Bennis said that leadership is the capacity to transform vision into reality. Thus, we need to strengthen this capacity altogether and formulate the sustainable and responsible decisions. And this takes us to today's topic. It's a transversal topic that bears new opportunities for individual satisfactoriness, social inclusion and economic innovation. I will include various examples from all over the continent to illustrate current developments and give a European perspective that may be also very interesting for you. The study presented by Mr. Moraes earlier showed already the Portuguese perspective on how which preoccupation exists for Portuguese workers. First of all, I would like to speak about the importance we think work-life balance plays in general in our contemporary context under different angles. Innovation and growth. Due to digitalization and globalization, the workforce is increasingly changing. It is necessary and makes economic sense to have personal and management concepts that react to the increasing interconnectedness and speed. Adapting to these changes can increase employers' attractiveness in and among member states, as well as recruitment and loyalty advantages, which are particularly relevant for strategic human resources management. Employees and managers increasingly want these models because they provide relief in favor of private and family obligations in particular. Reduced working hours, for instance, can also be an investment in further education and training for the employees that in turn will benefit the innovative potential of a country. Promoting gender equality, diversity, and tackling demographic change. As we heard, parenthood and other caring responsibilities are the largest reasons for employment differences between women and men. There is evidence that exploiting the full potential of women working by closing the gender gap could significantly increase economic growth. There are estimates of 5% of GDP growth alone for the United States, according to some predictions. The report on the impact of demographic change on the future availability of managers and professionals in Europe, which CEC European Managers published in 2013, showed that within the EU 28 member states, between 61 and 70% of managers are male, and at CEO level only 3% are female. Creating a working environment culture that encourages the equal repartition of tasks in households, like men being able to spend more time at home with their children, can lead them to gain more and new soft skills that might also be beneficial in their leading capacities for more and more diverse teams that we experience. The workforce is getting older and more diverse. Flexible arrangements can help deal with the needs related to parenthood, thus encouraging couples to get children, to the needs for private care, to religious motives, to educational reasons, or to the will to work above retirement age, etc. For young skilled labor today, young skilled labor professionals and managers in Generation Y, current studies show that the reconciliation of work and private life is valued more highly than in older generations, and is an important criterion in selecting an employer. Productivity and efficiency. There are some indicators pointing at a presence culture that is more or less developed in different European countries. This means that performance is based on time spent at work instead of results. Employees in these working cultures fear losing their status and having fewer career prospects. The more colleagues use flexible working arrangement, the quicker the preconception will disappear. Many executives report that they work more efficiently when they are working fewer hours. There is also some evidence supporting higher productivity. This is facilitated by methodological organization. Furthermore, with shared or more part-time work, office spaces can be allocated more efficiently. Disruptions, called by noise in the working space, and other stress related to office presence can also be reduced. The output is higher concentration and motivation of staff. Flexible working hours based on market demands can also save costs. More part-time positions give every organization greater potential for problem solving and creativity, as the workload is completed by more heads with varying perspectives. I want to give an example. The Belgian Federal Public Service, Social Security, has created a dynamic workplace where new ways of working have been implemented to promote practices such as desk sharing, home working, increased focus on results, and more flexible ways in which teams are structured and work. It does not matter anymore when, where, and how they work, only results are important and evaluated. This saves the federal government 6 million euros each year and has resulted in a 30% reduction in office space, a 55% reduction in the use of paper for printing, and a 60% reduction in office furniture expenditure. This Eurostat figures surely cannot explain the relation between productivity and working time. But other studies indicate that excessively high working hours, for example over 48 hours, can have a damaging impact on productivity and well-being in the long term. In that sense, it's a bit reductionist, and also has to account of different welfare models, of course. But there is certainly a correlation. Public health. Stress-related health problems, particularly mental health issues, are becoming a serious public health concern. According to the UK Mental Health Report, more than 60% of the workers said that work has been a factor contributing to poor mental health during their lives. Supportive workplace cultures, practices, and leadership taking into consideration employees' personal and professional needs can significantly reduce stress-induced problems and the workers' well-being in an increasingly perceived competitive working culture. Now I want to speak about the CEC position, also about the work-life balance consultation that we recently submitted. It's the second phase consultation of the European Commission, and in our eyes the following measures would be essential to introduce. When speaking about work-life balance, infrastructure such as transport, social security or professional helps, but many more as well, is probably one of the key drivers. Investment in child services, for instance, is essential to enable families to flourish, for future welfare state sustainability and for economic growth. But the infrastructure is also about access, as the study of Mr. Moraes has already showed earlier. To give another example, in Sweden, the service My Pages offers Swedish people online information on what types of benefits they are eligible for. The government launched a smartphone application so that parents, instead of filling out papers for temporary parental leave when staying home with their ill child, can apply for these benefits online with the application. Second, healthcare for elderly should be subject to specific arrangements considering the different socioeconomic contexts. And due to the difficulty in defining non-discriminatory minimum criteria for benefits. It is clear from the ESPN report 2016 that the work-life balance of carers of dependent relatives is easier in countries which have developed various part-time work and flexible working arrangements, as well as public welfare services, notably home services, in the current move to offer more personal care by family, supported through professional staff, such in the Nordic countries. More even than cash benefits for carers and dependents. And third, we think parents should benefit of the same amount when it comes to after-birth leaves and longer-term parental leave. Maternity and paternity leave shall be equal. Here we see, I will speak about that later. To promote gender equality and not be excessively long, because they have been shown to increase scaring effects on women's careers and make it more difficult for them to re-enter employment after very long leaves of absence. This slide shows still how big the discrepancies are both among member states and between paternity and maternity leave. This is why we strive for more homogenization, and especially homogenization concerning maternity and paternity leave in order to increase gender balance and responsibilities of men, as we heard earlier. Now, we also published a report, the Flexible Working Arrangements for Employees in Leadership Positions. It has just been translated into English. I actually have one example here, so if you're interested, I just have one, unfortunately. You can, of course, have it. This project was supported by CEC European managers and the German Federal Ministry of Education and Research. Through interviews and quantitative studies, factors for innovative working time models in economy and science, and barriers that still exist in Germany have been investigated. The report shows a large discrepancy between the offer of flexible working arrangements by companies such as home office, part-time, shared work, and, on the other hand, the effective use by managers. The managers interviewed showed a very big demand for these models. Even though big companies seem to be more able to offer such flexible arrangements, the report also shows how small companies can implement these models, allowing for a better satisfaction of their employees. The most significant impediments to using flexible working models from the perspective of the surveyed managers are a lack of role models, a lack of support from top management, and a lack of support from direct supervisors. Some key factors for success were also identified. A culture of trust, the common choice of a model that accounts to the needs of the manager, organization, clients, and team members, as well as transparent and consistent communication about the used model. It is also important that supervisors, especially those in upper management, try out or use these flexible models themselves in the interest of leading by example, so that these models become a visible and viable solution that is a legitimate extension of the way people in the company work. This can trigger the development of a stimulating, innovative and more open working culture, which is already starting to grow all over Europe, with pioneer firms and managers taking the lead to establish new frameworks. Here we have one example of the answers that managers have given in this survey, and we can clearly see that they see work-life balance, motivation, productivity, and creativity to be increased. It's the expected effects of flexible working arrangement, and also some problems regarding the career prospects. We have talked about this already. Employee management and collaboration especially. But these factors are shown to be able to be overcome when there is an organizational restructuring, an organizational adaptation beforehand, before the individuals can choose adapted solution. But it is very important to have this collaboration between top management and employees to develop a new model that suits the organization. So in that sense, it's important to also look into the specific context of an organization. To put it all in a nutshell, we think that it needs a thorough assessment of organizational, political and economic context to adapt to these changes that are caused by digitalization, demographic change, globalization and a changing demand of the workforce. Even though public infrastructure certainly remains an important driver of work-life balance, adapted solutions to and from different sectors, as well as solutions found by companies and other organizations themselves, can lead the way forward. Evidence-based research that I have tried to outline indicates that in some, the opportunities overwhelm the risks, if applied accordingly. This holds true for personal, social and economic development. We are convinced that we can take the necessary steps through an open European-wide dialogue for responsible decisions leading to a more sustainable, inclusive and also happier life for employees. We live on the exchange of ideas. I would therefore be pleased to hear your questions, your positions and experiences, especially in the Portuguese context, because as my previous speaker, I also unfortunately don't speak Portuguese, although I have been in Lisbon as well this summer. Yes, I would invite you to speak with me about these issues. I'm very open to this. You can also contact me via email or visit our website, and of course take this report with you and the flyers that I have also put over there. Obrigado.
How do you see our market, our reality, and which methods can improve with that to change things?
Well, I think I'm not an expert of Portuguese.
Do you have some studies about our market too? It's something you are thinking to do? Can we help in that? Because we have already started talking and communicating.
You want advice for Portugal, or?
If you have any studies about Portugal, our reality, do you know it?
Well, I have some studies if you want here as an annex. I can give it to you if you would like their OECD statistics, etc., ESPN report, and which are comparing. And how do I see Portugal?
On these matters.
Well, I think Portugal benefits from a very high level of women already working in the workforce, so in that sense, Portugal is further, but I could maybe not give specific recommendations for Portugal for now, but I think it also depends on the context of the sector, of the organizational size, etc. So I think a differentiated approach is very important.
I give you a challenge to help us doing a specific study on the banking market. Okay? I think it is something very important for us.
Definitely.
That I feel okay.